Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death. So,
we got a lot to do.
We do.
Mousefur recovers from his trance, his possession.
Mm-hmm.
The message has been sent one way or another. Koibu will repay the souls it owes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go make a skeletal specialist out of the mage. Mage has always been close at hand. Is it in the house somewhere, or is it out in the field with the soldiers?
You have definitely kept it in a special place, so you can
Parked
find
on top of the elk, out in the yard somewhere.
Yeah.
So I will find my skeletal mage, or skeletal mage to be.
Mm-hmm. You find it?
Yeah, what's my first task for it to be? Oh, I remember. Okay, so I need to give, I think, 1 HP and 5 years to make a skeletal. So it doesn't take a sacrifice, right? Making a skeletal specialist takes, or does it take a
5 years and 1 HP with a medium skeleton.
Yeah. Okay, so it starts from a skeleton. So this is exactly what it's meant, right? Find it. You already sacrificed an animal to raise a skeleton, and then you make your own sacrifice. So I guess I pull out the steel knife. Mousefur cuts his palm. Clutches the skeletal mage's skull, or the fallen mage's skull. I think the elk had to kneel down so that I could reach it. I will give up 1 HP and 1 soul.
5 years.
5 souls. 1 HP and 5 years. So let me switch tabs. 64 max age. And 1 HP will bring us to 17.
Right. And we've said that skeletons are weak to bludgeoning but resist piercing, right?
Yeah.
Updating
that seems more fun.
That's done. Updated across the docks.
So I'm going to command this skeletal mage.
No, it's a skeletal specialist, right?
Sorry,
not
now
a mage?
skeletal specialist. I keep calling it skeleton mage. It's a It's a dead mage, raised as a regular skeleton.
Right.
Now upgraded to a skeletal specialist.
Yes.
Its eyes glow with a deep green bioluminescence now. And a new intelligence sparkles behind its dead eyes. Is there a particular command Mousefur has that's going to awaken it? Or are we content to just upgrade it? One thing I was thinking of using skeletal specialists for is collecting bones or souls, right? They're smart enough to roam the countryside, collecting taxes, if you will. So I think a whole, like, a company of bone collectors would be a cool thing to do.
They're particularly weak in combat.
Yeah. Was it made more fragile by the ritual?
It started as a warrior. Yeah, definitely.
It didn't start as a warrior. It started as a
regular
skeleton basic.
No, it's got the exact same stats as a basic skeleton. It just has greater intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah. And wisdom.
And mounted atop the zombie elk. Yeah, and I'm gonna command it to take. Let's see how many blood knights I have. I think I'm gonna split off a party to be commanded by the specialist. 17 blood knights.
Ooh.
So let's take 12 blood knights. and bring back a live soul, or as many as you can carry back, living humans, sacrifices, and not from the people of winter.
Right.
Right. So yeah,
this monster, this specialist, understands basic concepts and priorities and has advanced use of tools and objects. It has limited independence and can formulate plans to achieve objectives. So you could tell it to build walls and just leave it alone and it would build you walls. Or you could tell it to bring you souls and it would bring you souls. It understands concepts like my people, my town, my library. You know, good. You tell it to cross a river, it'll look for a way to cross, and if it can't find a way, it'll build a way or create a way somehow.
Actually, the Blood Knights, I don't think it needs the Blood Knights. I think regular skeletal warriors, so I stop it as it's like assembling, and me and the specialist are doing like troop maneuvers in the orchard. Because we're talking about what was originally a dozen Blood Knights. I'm like, no, don't take those, you back. Take some spearmen. So these are just unleveled skeleton warriors.
How much conversation?
Which there are 55.
How much conversation do you have with the skeletal specialist? Is it giving orders, or is it like actually talking to it and like bouncing ideas? And even though it doesn't respond,
it doesn't respond.
It can respond with like yes, like head nods, yes and no.
Yeah, no. So I don't ask it questions, but it relays commands through me telepathically to other undead. Is that a thing? So like I tell the skeleton mage to take the Blood Knights, and suddenly it somehow commands the Blood Knights to start moving and assembling in front of it, and they're like
it'll give like physical gestures with like weird hissing sounds that don't really emanate from
I tell
anywhere.
it to take these Blood Knights, and I issued that whatever spiel about bringing live souls back, as many as you can get, whatever, not the people witness reach. And so it's got like the mage's staff or something like that that it raises, and the Blood Knights start to line up, and Malsifer says, no, not you, not these ones. Take a spear. Is a spear 20 in
8
in this? 8?
8.
What's a okay? So the 2 spears. How many spears can it command? How many can it take?
Let's see. It can command as many as it can fit around it. So in an open area like this, it could probably command hundreds. But if you're gonna take it through the woods, I don't know, 20 seems like a good amount. Okay. That'd be 2 spears, right? 3 spears, maybe?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Take this company of spearmen and go, I think, head north of here.
Where would you like it to go?
Are there, so these dead... yeah, it doesn't know geography, does it?
It will... Let's see, it's made of you. So if you say go to Gator Beach, I think it'll know where Gator Beach is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It knows what you know, sort of, or it can like follow what you think you know.
Okay.
Your concepts.
So I'll say go north, go to Gator Beach. Bring me back, bring me back souls, living, writhing.
You send...
And I also want the corpse of the corpse maker. That was meant to be a specialist.
So how's that?
Yeah. I don't think it's just going to turn up, but I wonder if somehow... and then there were those fallen skeletal warriors, so maybe I do have a brief musing with this specialist. And I don't know how I transmit my knowledge, but I don't know. You said it can prioritize tasks, right? So in words or no, Malsifer will convey to the specialist, of the lost skeletal warriors that went north and never returned. Right, those were leveled corpses that we would like returned to us. And then the corpse maker fed to gators, probably in Gator Beach. So I don't know that there's what the chances of them coming across that, and I don't know that they're smart enough to pick up rumors. But if they happen across the bones of our skeletal warriors, I think if it knows what I know, I think it would know to drag those back.
Yeah.
Or I'd hope maybe you'd roll some kind of check in that case.
I'll sort it out.
Prioritizing tasks, right? So those would be 3 tasks. Yeah. Number 1 priority is soul tax, though.
And do you give it a number?
A number?
How many people it should bring? It has 20 warriors with it, right? So
yeah.
Are you saying like bring me as many as you can, or bring
exercise
me 5?
its judgment, right? I mean, as many as they can take. So I don't think it'd be sensible for more than half of the warriors to be dragging, right? I think it takes about probably 2 skeletons to to drag a living person back. So I don't think it would come back with more than 10. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. It goes out.
Yeah. So that'll be 20, a small contingent of 20 skeletal warriors led by our skeletal specialist on Elkback.
Excellent.
To go soul collecting.
Excellent. All right. It heads out.
And waiting for the Corvals. Mousefur heads into town. Someday to run some errands. So this would be like the second day, whenever after that trance. And we want to check on production. I don't know what you'd call it in Winter's Reach. The I don't know, commerce, trade. I don't know. They're making hides and bows and right. Fletching arrows and things right there. They ought to be busy little bees.
They are working. I think it's at this point that you are disturbed.
Okay.
The sun has risen, sort of without you knowing it. Maybe you've been so involved in these tasks, and coming to the keep are some of your local townsfolk. And with them are 3 people in shackles.
Who are these men? Are they all 3 men? Adults?
They are 2 men and a woman. They are all adults. They are wearing nothing but rags and look like they've seen better days. Dirty, some of them have bruises, a little bit of blood here and there dried on them from minor wounds sustained somewhere. Who's the one that brings this to you? It's gonna be actually Bates brings these guys, the tavern owner.
Okay.
There are some other people standing behind him, coming with him, guarding them. And he says, Lord Winter, some men arrived. Knights with some spearmen, and they dropped these men, tied these men to a tree, called for us, then left into the woods.
The men are shackled.
The men are shackled.
A quick glance. Would these have been our shackles, or they were dumped here shackled?
They were dumped shackled.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because our blacksmith hasn't been working. Shackles are probably hard to come by here.
Yep.
Are you Corval sacrifices? Mousefur says to the
I ain't no sacrifice.
I looked them up and down. How old do they seem? How many years would I guesstimate they have between them?
The 2 men look to be in their 40s, maybe. The woman is fairly young, early 20s.
All right. Bring them to the chapel. And Mousefur goes to collect a package wrapped in black cloth.
All right.
And we'll head into Winter's Reach.
You head into Winter's Reach.
To
You
the
get
village, to the chapel.
your black wrapped item. The 3 prisoners are not so thrilled about being shackled inside the church with all the blood stains everywhere from the former sacrifices that have risen here, and there's skeletons probably standing nearby on the walls, and there's a pile of bones out back that didn't match any other bones, and it's become quite apparent as to what is about to happen to them. Let's see what's going on. One of the men is taking it very poorly, screaming, promising the world. He'll tell you anything you need to know. He knows people. He's got connections. He's really valuable to you. You should absolutely let him go because he could do all sorts of things for you. The other man is sort of like distant stare, like, you know, disassociated from reality. Mm-hmm. And the young girl is just trying to make herself small and like hide behind these two other people, like between them and one of the altars, to just remain unnoticed.
How do their hands look?
Ooh. Oh, wow. Well, one of the man has big meaty hands like a construction worker. The other one has even bigger, meatier hands, like someone who has 16 strength. And the young woman, average, nothing noteworthy about her.
It doesn't actually matter, right? Because the hands get 18-90 strength no matter where they came from.
Yeah, but you might not want like little dainty, girly hand on big blacksmith. It might be, no. You want a hand to match the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't think you can get too attached to your sacrifices. I think letting this one run its tongue is probably more trouble than it's worth. So we'll probably involve undead by now, right? Or how many men did Bates come with?
3. Well, you mean how many of your people?
Yeah, like he had to have help taking.
Yeah, he brought 4 with him. Yeah.
Janet and Jimmy are still here on my sheet. Is that correct? They're still in town? Oh, it's Big Janet and Big Jimmy. Little Jimmy, I think, met an unfortunate end. I think there's only 2 left.
Little Jimmy got captured the same time that Hannibal. Freddy got captured. Yeah.
Okay, but there's a couple of town zombies that can come help us with the sacrifices. Mm-hmm. Janet and Jimmy, come here, and these poor prisoners see the zombies coming to hold them down, especially the talky one. And fetch for Jason. Mousefer will command to Bates.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Lilith couldn't hurt too. I guess we'll see. So we will gather in the chapel to take care of this, out of the sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna lay this black cloth on one of the pews with a thud and unwrap the bardish. And with it comes zipping around a poltergeist, I think.
Mm-hmm.
A ethereal projection of Malcifer's life force.
Mm-hmm.
Darting around the room and then disappears. It can flip in and out of material and ethereal, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Material and spiritual.
Yeah, it comes partially into the material, but, you know, it remains mostly ethereal.
Mm-hmm. Are the prisoners screaming and begging for their lives?
Just the one. Just the one.
Mm-hmm.
He's a coward.
Did he have the bigger hands or no?
No, the quiet one had the bigger hands.
Okay, then I think the screams get louder as the quiet one's hand is restrained for inspection.
It looks strong.
I think we'll wait for certainly Jason to show up. And then,
yes.
And then
well, what do you tell Jason when he arrives?
Mm-hmm.
Still with his one hand little ashamed. He's been drinking a lot. He's been having to cope with this, like, he once held a position of extreme importance in town, and now he's been relegated to the town drunk, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
Jason, I've got good news for you. In the background, there's about screaming.
Yes, my lord. Is there a new batch brought in? New brew?
The disgraced knight, William Corval. His estate has sent a sacrifice. Justice is to be served.
Justice? Ain't no justice till I get my hand back from that knight.
You'll have your hand back. Actually, we don't know where William Corval's hand went, do we? Or where that knight corpse went? He's lost amongst the rank and file, or
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe one of my skeleton warriors, but
maybe a zombie. Who knows at this point?
Mm-hmm.
I will
address
at you a few times.
The guy with the meaty palm and say, in place of William Corval's own hand, the Lord of Winter takes yours, and I will fully chop it off with the executioner's axe.
He bleeds and screams. Loth quickly wraps a cord around his wrist to prevent him from bleeding to death before you can sacrifice him for his life.
Yeah. I think I make it as quick as possible, right? That, like, I'm content to have him bleed out and let that be the sacrifice.
Okay.
And if I need to, like, clutch his throat and choke him out, finish the job. But no need to let him suffer, right? But we'll sacrifice his soul for the ritual of the necrograph, and probably the soul of his companion to total up to, right? Is that something that we can do?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do they have 5 between them, or do I get a sense?
Yeah, they're in their 40s. Let me roll their age here. What is max age? 2d20 plus 80, I think, is max human age.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna assume they have the same max age. They both can live up to 100 years. Wow, look at that.
So it's 10 years?
Well, they both have 100 years max.
Okay, 100 years minus 40. Okay, so...
Right. So minus... I was going to do D10 40. Plus 30. So they're both... No, that should be D10 plus 40. They're both 46 years old. So you get 54 years... Or 5.4 years from each of them.
Which is perfect for the ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but actually, it's more efficient if I do it this way. Right? So I'm trying to do a... Let me see the...
Soul siphon.
A soul siphon, yeah. Where are my spells at? All right. Soul siphon. Use the life force of a creature they are sacrificing instead of paying the cost themselves. So it's now 2 points for every 10 years. So if there are 50 years, that's now 10. So just this guy will actually be enough, right?
Yeah, this one person will give you more. You'll have extra years left over. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I guess those extra years are sort of lost, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. So you sacrifice the talkative man to.
No. It was the guy with the meaty arm. I went first.
Right.
But I think Malcifer's low on years, unless there are other.
So, are you siphoning the years from the man whose hand you chopped off to pay the cost of attaching it to the blacksmith's body?
Yes, right. Makes the most sense, doesn't it?
Right.
It's the most efficient.
Yes.
One chop, one sacrifice.
And what is it? What is the process of attaching it to Edgar?
Lilith certainly helps with that, right? So we fetched for her, and she will show up with whatever kit she has, and it'll be like.
But like his hand his stump has sort of like healed over. So do you just attach it to the stump, or do you need to like open up the stump, or?
I think we'll need to open it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good thing he's drunk. He'll probably bleed more, but
So you reopen the wound, and then Lilith just like sews on the fresh hand. I think the
zombies now have to hold him down, or maybe his buddies hold him down, if they're even his buddies.
There are people around who
folk.
Yes.
He's held down on another one of the pew during this ritual, right as this bloody twitching hand is brought over to him. We realize to get it to attach, we're gonna, like hold him down.
Lilith holds him, or people hold him down. She cuts it open, sews the new hand on.
It's the souls are sacrificed at some point during this. So so within that minute, Mouseford either. I mean, how does that work with something like a necrograph that is a process to attach? At what point in that process does the sacrifice of souls occur?
Once the hand is fully attached is when the sacrificing goes. So the guy has to live for a while.
Tourniqueted this guy's forearm.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna like cling to stable lifelessness for a few minutes or whatever while we stitch on the hand. And then Mousefur will finish the job to free up the souls. And Jason the blacksmith is whole once more. Let's see, the attached part functions and is under the control of the subject, but is dead and decaying. May need to be replaced eventually. Has superhuman strength of 18-90, perfect for a blacksmith.
Perfect.
Now sober up. Double meat rations for Jason while he gets back to work.
When the process is all done and his hand is enchanted and he can move it, he sort of like wide-eyed gets escorted out of the building. And minutes later, you can hear him furiously pounding away on his forge. Happy to have a purpose in life again.
Oh, and its first order of business is this uncomfortable breastplate, but we'll get to that in just a second, I think. We've still got these sacrifices. If I'm gonna raise anything, it would be better to have sacrifices on hand, but my max age is currently 64. And there's blood in the air. I think we're just gonna finish off and sacrifice the next two. So there was another 5 in the other dude, and then
5.4 in the other dude, and the young girl is in her early 20s, and she can live to be 95 years old, and she is 1d6 plus 20 years. I guess she's 26. So 95 minus 26 is 6.9 more years for you.
Alrighty, so. And then, wait, what was the other guys? It was 5 and change?
5.4.
So plus 5.4 plus what'd you say for the woman?
6.9.
6.9. 77.1 is the new total. Yeah, so mouse for feeds. Oh, he can drain life too, can't I? Can't he? So we'll just slurp our way to full.
I think there's enough life here.
Chapel's a bloodbath.
You've got 3 people whose life you can drain, right?
Oh, yeah. And I want to do a spiritual armor, because I think that's down now.
Okay, they had 12 and 3. They had 15 years of 15 HP in them. So you can get, what is that, 7?
Sitting at 17 plus, okay, that's 7. So we're not going to be full, but yeah.
You gain 7 HP.
Although
you
on
gain
top of
many
natural
years.
healing in another day, that should be back to full. So the Lord of Winter drinks from the bloodbath. Do the townsfolk gather and watch this horror in the chapel, or as soon as they're done, do they skedaddle?
I think there are people whose jobs it has become to tend to the chapel and to keep it prepared and clean and ready for use. And those people stand by and watch. So they're probably like farmers who lost their animals or whatever, or people whose roles are no longer needed. And there are others who are...
And they can fill a role of perhaps a new clergy type class or something.
Right. And then there are others who are...
sacrifices.
Who might have come in just to hold the guy down, and those people have left. I think you're probably developing a small group of assistants for the chapel, as you called them, a clergy class. I think that's an astute observation. I don't know what to call these people yet, maybe just the clergy, but you definitely have a small group of dedicated assistants who sort of see the hierarchy as Malcifer, Lilith, and then they're sort of aside but under Lilith, you know? Like they don't follow her orders, but she helps them out and can issue orders.
Cultists. Thank you, chat.
That's the word. Yes, you've got your cultists.
Yeah.
God, it's so demeaning when it's being said about your own people. You know, that's just...
You know, and I'm happy to let that be its sort of own, let its own entity, let it grow organically. Little cult of winter. There's always a few of them in every village. Oh, they aren't undead. They are living. So there's 109 unnamed marked villagers. How many cultists are among those, or approximately? Just to keep track. Maybe a better question is how many stay in the chapel and witness this willingly or voluntarily? 10?
Yes.
Let's go ahead and mark 10 cultists and 99 regular villagers. Okay. Blood has been drunk, sacrifices made. All is peaceful in Winter's Reach.
Wonderful.
Malcifer will head out to the Fletchers and find some suitable natural daggers. What's a natural? Once living, is that the requirement for spiritual weapons?
Living or once living.
Living or once living. Bone daggers, I think, is the play. Or wood is just as effective, right? Wooden stakes.
Yes, wooden stakes would work. I think bone will probably keep an edge better than wood, or a point better than wood.
That's cooler. I mean, we may not have. I mean, we just put our blacksmith back together. Winter's Reach may be a podunk little town, but they probably, like, one thing that I imagine they are good at is whittling wood into useful tools, or bone, as creepy as we've become. So I'm thinking, like, there's got to be a Fletcher in town that carves creepy wooden daggers.
Certainly. Yeah. And they
seems like a
know
niche
well enough to fire hard in their stuff, so it's a little bit firmer, a little bit more useful.
Yeah. So let's pick some of those up. How many can I add to my bandolier?
As many as you want, given sufficient time. It's probably too much of work to figure it out over time, so just tell me how many you want. We'll say you can have them.
Yeah, we haven't noted Fletchers or knife makers or anything like that on this spreadsheet. How many of the 99 do you think are Fletchers? Would you like to...
Very few, I would expect, yeah. I'm gonna roll 2d4 for it. 6. There's 6 Fletchers in town.
My bone Fletchers. All right. Okay. So I noted that, and I'll go collect. Let's do a weight check. When Jason is back to work, I mean, the first thing we're gonna hand him is this uncomfortable breastplate to get hammered to size. So once he's got the furnace point. So I don't know if it's later that day or if it takes time.
It'll take time for him to sober up at the very least.
Yeah, okay. So maybe the next day we'll bring him that breastplate. I want to check your economics sheet to get a double check how heavy this stuff is. Armor, partial, plate, chest. Ooh, it's lighter than... Oh no, it's not lighter than chain.
No.
It's 25 pounds. Uncomfortable 25 pounds. Breastplate. And chain limbs are 35. Oh no, that's plate limbs. 25. Still, for an AC bonus of 2. The chest alone. Maybe I don't need all this chain limbs.
Just get the breastplate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a breastplate is fine. We'll have bronze chain on demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I were to need it, if I were to like want to march into battle and upgrade my armor.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Oh, that's it's blood. I don't need all this. Okay. So let's go ahead and add bone daggers. They're a pound each. What seems like a reasonable number of daggers to have on a bandolier? Like 10?
Sure.
How many hand-carved bone daggers can you have on your belt before you're a murderous psychopath?
Zero. I think one hand-carved bone dagger makes you a murdering psychopath. Well, actually, one could be a cool thing. 2 could even be like a matched pair. 3.
See what I mean?
3 is the point at which you're crazy. Which it's not just an interesting accessory and becomes a way of life. You know? It's like you can have one human skull in your house and that's fine. But the moment a real person has 2 human skulls in their house, they're questionable.
Sasha Stormcrow. You should get the blacksmith to attach bone to the armor. I like that. We can have the carved bone daggers seated in the armor. Be snapped off and hurled as a spiritual weapon if it comes to it. Definitely a murderous psychopath. If there are 10 bone daggers sticking out of the breastplate, that seems a little inconvenient. They're probably going to have to be like built into it. Right.
They'll have to go to the Yaramir school of attachment.
Yeah. But artistically, was Jason ever an artist, or is he just can he just get the breastplate? He can make the breastplate comfortable, and then maybe someone more skilled craftsman can seat the daggers in. They'll figure it out. Plan. So when Jason's back to work, we stop by the smithy forge, drop off his first real piece.
Excellent.
And all is well in Winter's Reach. I'll be curious to hear if the hunters have any. You know what I should do? I need more specialists to command patrols in the woods of undead scouting patrols, basically. Well, we'll probably want to sit back and wait a few days, right? Mouseful will heal to full. We'll see if any reports come in.
Yeah, because they just left this morning. Got some time before they finish their mission.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I've got 3 more HP to gain, so I think by tomorrow, if I get a solid day's rest from here, we're good to go.
Okay. Well, the rest of the day passes uneventfully, Malsuber. It is how long of a journey to Gator Beach and back? 17 miles. So round trip is 34 miles. And skeletons can go 24 miles in 10 hours. Oh no, they can go 28 miles.
They can't clip through things like I think they're still affected by difficult terrain.
They definitely
through the woods. I think they would only go 12 miles.
Yeah, maybe they've got movement 14, so maybe like 16 or something miles a day, maybe 18. So it'll take them at least 2 days to get to Gator Beach and back. Probably, maybe even 3 days.
And skeletal specialists take 5 years. Okay. Well, next batch of souls will siphon. And so we wait for news from our hunters or news from our skeletons. And in a day, Mousefur will fully heal, correct? He'll gain 3 more HP.
Yes.
If he gets full rest. So we'll do that. We'll get to 27 out of 27. And then cast our spirit armor again. Bringing down to 21. Max HP. Nice and full.
So what are you waiting for now?
I think we need to wait for the armor to finish.
That'll take a while.
Yeah. To refit a breastplate.
You will get asked for measurements, and they'll... Or Jason he's a blacksmith. He's not an armorer. He still knows enough that he can probably, bend it here, bend it there, stretch it a little bit, or whatever, hammer it out. He'll probably be able to get it to fit you, but it'll take some time for him.
Was our tailor Jimmy? Is that what happened? That is, right?
Jimmy?
No. Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's other tailors in town.
I don't have a tailor marked down.
Yeah, it was Jimmy. He also sewed the town banner and then fell off the roof, remember? That's why he's dead. That's why he's a zombie now. Doesn't matter.
I thought the only Jimmy was Little Jimmy. And Big Jimmy. Oh, you mean Big Jimmy, Big Jimmy. Okay, got it. Yes. Big Jimmy's dead, though, right?
He's a zombie, though.
He's a zombie.
He's here in town.
Okay.
And... yeah.
Whole family is zombies now.
But a zombie tailor is no more useful than... But he's strong. He can help bend the breastplate.
There is one other thing that we should note. This evening here, the same evening that you sent out the skeletons, that you did the necrograph, that the prisoners were brought to you, I think as you're making your retirement that night, there's a gentle knock at the door, and Lord Rosegrove pokes his head in and says, my Lord Winter, there's been a joyous occasion in town I thought you should be aware of.
Yes, Lord Rosegrove.
A young woman has given birth to a healthy young boy.
Was she marked?
She was.
Praise be the winter gods. I think we're not going to mark the child yet, right? I think we'll wait until they come to us. So I think for like the first moments, right, the mother who's marked will have to protect, fend off any zombies that are trying to eat her baby. But she can do so just fine, right? Someone who's marked can like push back on dead, right? They're not going to come. They're not like swarming her to feast upon the.
And she will certainly,
Yeah.
hide the child and stay indoors and rest and relax for a while. And skeletons and zombies are quite stupid. Out of sight, out of mind. If they can't see the baby, they won't attack the baby, so
yeah,
she can keep it safe.
Lovely. Don't think we're going to sacrifice the baby. All good. Lovely.
Excellent.
Praise the winter gods. What a bountiful season. All right, to rest and recuperation. I think it's dangerous to go gallivanting around the countryside without my breastplate.
Maybe give it some time before fix the breastplate before you're ready to gallivant.
I think so. That's the smart decision, right? gallivanting around the countryside with inferior armor is how you lose characters.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we call this the second part, and we'll take a slightly longer break than last time, like a regular break. I'll get some coffee, and we will be back on the other side. More Dicing with Death.
Bye-bye.